Welcome to the Fran Snyder Podcast, where I talk to artists and music fans to explore how music connects us through great stories and experiences. Brought to you by Listening Room Network. Today's guests, the Habitat House Concerts. We are live with Ken and Heather Settlemeyer of the Habitat House Concerts. How are you two doing tonight?
We're doing pretty well, actually.
Hello, Fran. It's good to see you again.
Likewise. It's been a while since I've been at the house. Just for the audience, you guys are about a little less than an hour south of me, probably 45 minutes south of St. Petersburg, Florida, in Bradenton, Florida, home of the Bishop Planetarium. And only old guys like me know that.
Okay.
We've been there.
Well renowned for their world renowned for their laser light shows and parking lot antics before and after the show. It's great to connect with you guys. You guys are just a little bit outside of the Tampa Bay area, so I don't get to see a lot of your shows, but you guys have been super busy. I want to just kind of backtrack a little bit to basically how you guys met. Heather, I'll let you take the lead there.
In a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago, scroll. We met almost 30 years ago in State College, Pennsylvania. And although we didn't know it at the time, we were both into live music. We didn't actually pick it up as a serious hobby until much later. But yeah, we met and married within less than 2 months.
Wow.
And it's going on 30 years. So
lightning fast. Wow. And so you met at State College, Pennsylvania. I used to tour the college circuit, and Pennsylvania, I think, has more universities than any other state in the union.
And Penn State has the most bars per square block.
Yeah. It was,
something like that.
I spent a lot of time in that area. How did you wind up in Florida?
Well, it was a long journey, but it basically went to job in Massachusetts after graduation, then to New York. And then I hated New York, and we moved to Florida to get away from the freezing cold.
Got it. So you've been in Florida how long now?
15 years.
15 years?
Yeah.
And career-wise, Ken, I know, has a lot of sound background, but what did you guys do for the bigger part of your careers?
I've been an engineer all my life until recently, although I still consider myself an engineer, obviously. I worked for a lot of semiconductor companies. I worked for what I would consider the big three, Digital Equipment Corporation, then Intel, then IBM, and then I finished out with what I was doing with that after we got transferred to a company called Global Foundries. And there's a long story behind why we're here now, but I actually worked remote for IBM for almost 20 years down here after we moved to Florida.
No, you almost only worked for IBM for 15 years because we've only been here for 15 years.
Well, I worked for them for almost 20 because we were living in New York.
There you go.
But, so you've been in Bradenton 15 years, 2 kids since then, right?
Yep.
No,
our kids are adult.
Yeah, our kids, we started with that in Massachusetts also.
Okay, awesome.
They're adult and out of the house and the whole thing. So.
Woo-hoo, which means we have guest bedrooms for musicians, which is awesome.
Yes. So how did you discover house concerts? And feel free to give me some backstory there if it was a winding road, but how did you?
It involves drinking.
Yeah. Some of it definitely did, but.
About in 2011, we joined the Parrot Head Club.
Okay.
And round about that time, they were having not just parties in bars and club meetings, but people were starting to have house parties. House parties, right. Not concerts. Let's just be very clear about that.
Yeah.
And but we started realizing that there was some really good songwriting out there, and we were starting to seek out places where we could hear the songwriters.
Yeah.
And so we actually, I started at a place called the Sandbox on Anna Maria Island, which is no longer there. But that was our introduction to the concept of go to someone's house and listen to live music.
The thing that we found frustrating was that a lot of the places, especially in the genre of music that we tend to focus on, a little too much partying, a little too little in terms of understanding what's going on with the music. And we discovered there were a lot of frustrated musicians because they had a lot of really great things to talk about and sing about, and they just weren't getting the listenership that they really deserved. And so after going to a number of these, quite a few of them actually, we finally said, okay, we're gonna have to do this ourselves because we want to listen to the music. And it sort of snowballed from there.
So you're basically, you sort of fell in love with the trop rock scene, but really wanted to give the artists,
Bingo.
the musicians,
exactly,
a better opportunity to actually be listened to.
The music that's played in that genre, the trop rock, the escapist music, is just so happy. It just makes you feel so good. But it's really nice when you can hear the lyrics rather than the blender.
Right.
Yes. Like it's all about the margaritas, but it shouldn't overrun the music. So, and there's a much wider range of music than a lot of people give it credit for as well. So that's one of the things that over time we really did find with the genre.
Yeah, that's one of the issues with house concerts. Depending on the artists, house concerts can kind of have the reputation of being sort of a super mellow, folky vibe. That seems to be the umbrella that most people stick it under. But depending on the artist, there are some house concerts that give you still great songwriting and great musicianship, but there's also a show aspect and sometimes a lot of fun and a lot of audience interaction. And so your series kind of seems to gravitate towards that, for hey, this is going to be great music. We want you to pay attention to it, but it's also going to be fun.
Dancing is vertical listening.
Yes. I like it.
And there's quite a range, and we don't do solely trop rock either. We've had a wide range of things here, all the way including what I would, I guess, call fusion jazz.
Yeah.
Some really great stuff, full bands, a lot of great times here.
Basically, we have I'm probably talking too fast. We have a laugh, cry, goosebumps scale, LCG scale. The music, if we book somebody here, they have to have that laugh, cry, goosebumps.
All three.
Yeah.
Got to check all three boxes.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So I think, Heather, maybe you should describe, or either of you could describe the habitat, right? You guys bought the lot next door.
It's a large lot. And yes, I think it's unique. And I think we got very fortunate because we weren't actually purchasing this house with the intention of having house concerts, but it evolved into such a wonderful thing. About 10 years ago, we realized that we live in coastal high prairie in Florida, and it's rather rare. That's where all the houses go. That's where all the sod lawns go. Everybody wants to live here, and there's very little nature left in this part of Florida. It's all very, very paved over. And Ken's dad is a botanist, and I spent a good deal of my life growing up in the wilds and the wilderness and camping and hiking and stuff. So nature is important to us. So we stopped mowing half of our yard and started planting Florida native plants and getting rid of the non-invasive or the invasive non-natives.
Yeah. So that's about a quarter acre of our backyard is
a quarter of an acre is certified wildlife habitat. It is. We actually have a little plaque and everything, which means we use no insecticides, no pesticides. It's all. We have a trail. But one day I was back in the back and I was taking care of the invasive species, and our neighbor poked their head up over the fence and said, "Well, this is a mess." And I said, "No, it's not. It's a habitat." And that's when we were discussing starting the venue. And so we have a name now. We have to start having concerts. I mean, that's all there is to it.
So that's why we're called the Habitat, because it evolved from that. And the Habitat area actually predates the concerts. It is an important part of what we do here. And if you tie that in with the Parrot Head world, a lot of the goals are good causes, both social and environmental. And so we can point to this and say, you can do this in your own backyard. So it's educational as well. And it's a nice tie into the music as well.
Nice. And so Ken, one of the things that's unique, another thing that's unique about your series, one of the things that for new people, an important thing to know is if you want to host house concerts, most of the artists tour with their own sound systems. They have everything that they need. You don't really need to worry about sound. But within our community, there are select hosts who really want to up the game, want to do the sound in a tailored way for their space. And Ken, you are one of the prime examples of someone who's really gone full tilt in developing not one, but two sound systems, two setups for your property. So give us an idea of like, what was the original intent in starting up with the sound system? Was it really kind of a requirement for the trop rock artists, or was it something that you just wanted to do? And then describe how you went from whatever your original setup was to what you have now.
It's certainly not a requirement. Like you mentioned, all the artists travel with their own gear. You have to, because most house concerts, there's a place to play and you've got everything else. We did that essentially for the first 6 months or so.
Yeah.
But we both have an ear for, we really want it to sound amazing.
My mother's a concert pianist. The only thing I inherited from her was her ear.
So we got to talking about this. We actually had a musician come and they brought their own gear, but their gear suffered some problems. And great quality musician, it did not reflect the way that we felt we wanted to hear their music. And so I said, well, we can do this. I've got a background in electrical engineering. I understand how it works. I've worked with bands. I literally started playing piano before I can remember. I worked with a band here in town for a while doing some recording. I said, this is right up my alley. I'm sure that I can figure this out. So I did a little research, and happenstance was that we knew a friend who his brother's a musician and he had some gear for sale. And I looked at it and said, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I bought it, and I actually had the speakers rebuilt. Everyone joked around at first that they're way too big for what we're doing here.
We could host Aerosmith.
Big. No, we could not host Aerosmith. Well, we could, a small concert maybe. That's where we started. Like I said, I researched it, and I decided, well, engineer likes redundancy. I'm going to buy two of them. We've got an indoor stage and an outdoor stage. We actually built the indoor stage first to start out with small. But within that first year, we had built the outdoor stage, and it evolved into what you see when you come here. And there's pictures out there on Facebook and the website and everything.
Right, because now the indoor stage is now your backup in case of rain. But you're saying when you originally started, most of your shows were indoors.
Yeah, for the first 6 months, we had them inside. And that was when we were building the clientele as well. And we could fit everybody inside the house.
We actually made a structural change to our house to open it up even further. So we can do about 50 inside.
Yeah.
Outside, we can host easily 150 in normal times.
Yeah, not just now.
but basically the way it evolved was I just kept looking at, okay, what do I need next? And I just kept buying the gear, learning how to use it, buying the next set, to the point where I can actually run two stages at the same time. I have more sound gear than most musicians have at this point.
He has more sound gear than most sound companies have right now.
No,
it's okay. My roof leaked for 2 years because we had to buy more sound equipment.
But
priorities, Fran. Priorities.
But I got pretty good at it, to the point where people started asking me if I would come run sound for them because they liked what I did. So at some point somebody said, and I'll pay you. So I actually founded a sound company now too.
Nice.
So I actually have enough gear that I have a sound company. Most people that are doing house concerts, I don't recommend that direction. It's a lot of work.
Right. If you're enjoying this podcast, can you pause for a moment to like, review, and subscribe? Please help the world discover our music community and the wonderful artists that we support. Your feedback makes a real difference. Then you also started building, like, not just a stage, but like a shed to house stuff.
We have the Chrysalis. The
Right.
Chrysalis is what we call the quote unquote green room.
Yeah.
And this building, the shed was actually there. What happened was we built the stage out front and then we redid the interior entirely.
Okay.
So that is where the musicians get ready.
And it's also able to be slept in.
Yeah,
it's almost like an own.
It's a little apartment.
House.
It just doesn't have running water.
Yeah, it's one of those things that sometimes gets overlooked in house concerts, is having a room, and it certainly doesn't have to be a separate building, but even, a guest room or whatever, where the artists can prepare to have like 30 minutes or an hour before the show to meditate, practice, clear their minds so that they can be 100% when they start the show.
Right.
And in some house concert situations, the artists are kind of forced to mingle throughout their entire time there. And that can be a little challenging.
We don't do that. It's, we actually had Christy Linnae. You probably recognize her name. Yeah. She was doing yoga in the Chrysalis before our show. Yes. So it can be very important.
A lot of artists have a routine that keeps them healthy, that keeps them sharp. And it's wonderful when hosts have the forethought to provide a space. And again, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Sometimes it's just the guest room where they can just have a little bit of privacy, a little bit of downtime, because that's one of the challenges of house concerts for artists, is that feeling of like you have to be on all the time. It's not just the time on stage, but then you're a guest in somebody's home. You're part of their life and part of their home, and there's just social expectations that you have to live up to. So it's great that you guys give artists a unique space like that. So kudos to you. So you guys really sort of have focused on the trop rock scene for 4 or 5 years, even though you stretch out quite regularly. Is there a theme with the trop rock performers? Is there something that's, aside from the music, is there something that you find personality-wise or musicianship-wise that sets them apart from most other acts?
Yes, they're very approachable. They want to give to the community, and they all interact in a very, very positive way. We're all friends.
Mm-hmm. Even in the very top tier, there's no sensation of he or she's too famous to talk to. Even when you're talking about people that are really up there.
We've had some fairly higher tier artists that and
they look at
people.
Their fans as extended family, very warm and welcoming, very approachable, and they all seem to be willing to go above and beyond to help their peers.
They work together.
Yes, it's just
a lot of collaboration.
I've seen just tremendous warmth in this particular genre. That doesn't mean it's not in other genres, but it's almost overwhelming how inclusive that it is.
Great. And one of the things that another thing that sets you guys apart in terms of attention to detail, you guys typically have something special for the artists or for your guests. Can you describe some of the stuff that you've done? I remember when Five Letter Word played at your place for the festival, you guys gave them like a custom flask.
Yeah, we have the swag. Every musician that plays here gets their own flask, which we fill with rum for them. The musicians and only musicians get stickers so they can put them on their guitars. I just finished putting in an order for sweat rags that have the musician's name, and it says the Habitat Hearts. Our next show is Aaron Schurz is on Saturday, so I have a little sweat rag that says the Habitat Hearts, Aaron Schurz.
Little stuff.
I make towel animals for the bed.
Just like being in Vegas or on a cruise.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just little things to make them feel special. When we have VIPs, I put together little goodie bags for VIPs that have like a magnet. We had guitar picks.
Yeah, we do a poster for every show. I think we're coming up on show 82, if I counted correctly.
82. So that's more than one a month for 5 years.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Those are our posters.
Oh, nice.
So we've got a book of all the posters. They're all signed. Yeah, 2 of them.
Tell me a little bit about the preparations, how you guys have adjusted to having gatherings during this, really strange time?
I guess start out with the idea that we had 5 shows.
From end of March through June, all those shows were canceled by the musicians. But what we're doing is outside at the 6 feet distance, we can hold 50. And that seems to be the number that they're talking about. Don't want to gather more than 50. So I'm setting out the chairs for 50 and no more. We're doing pre-donations, pre-reservations to ensure your seat and to try to get a pre-count. And I've let people know if we have more than 50 and you have not pre-reserved, you're not going to be able to come in.
We can't do shows inside. Everything has to be outside.
So what the biggest impact in this is my stress level for rain and monitoring the Weather Channel has gone through the roof because I have to watch the Weather Channel to make sure that it's not going to be raining. We have all sorts of big umbrellas and pop-up tents. And we do have a requirement. No, it's not a requirement. It's a request. The sign at the door says, if you have a mask and you're near others, please wear it. If you don't have a mask, please hold your breath. It eases people's irritability to be added a little bit. And we're doing everything touchless. We're just accepting donations in the honor system this time.
Yeah, we're doing as much stuff contactless as possible.
We're not doing potluck.
Yes.
So it's BYO everything.
Be self-contained. And we've actually had a number of people tell us that they were concerned at first, but that they feel comfortable here because we've got it set up in a way that they feel that it's done as healthy as possible.
We have a dance floor, so you can get up and dance, but if you're going to be dancing with strangers, wear your mask.
And keep the distance.
And keep distance. So we want everybody that's coming here to feel comfortable. Because this is one of the only outlets. People can't go out to bars right now, and there are people out there that are starved for live music.
Right. Yeah. What do you have scheduled for the rest of the year?
As I mentioned, Aaron Schurz, who is a hit singer-songwriter from Nashville, he's playing on Saturday. The Cabana Dogs Trio. That's September 26th. There we go. I'm on it now. And then October 10th, we have 360 Degrees. Then on October 18th, which is a very rare Sunday show, we have 3 different musicians that are coming together as they call it the Tres Amigos, the 3 Amigos. And we have December 5th, we have Jonas Lawrence and Danny Rosado in December. Now, normally we would be having more shows than that. We would be having two a month. But the situation with COVID is like, I'm not booking too far out.
Yeah, so of course. We're a little light on the schedule, but I think everybody is right now.
One of the things that happens to a lot of house concert hosts, especially when they first get started, is there's one act that really connects with them to an extent where they want to make it a tradition. Is there an artist or a couple artists in your stable that play every year?
We knew when we were going to do this that we were going to be in it for the long haul. We had a 5-year plan to make sure that we at least had a good cycle. We're doing many more shows than we expected to do, but we did come in with the idea that we're going to be doing this for a while. There's actually a couple of artists that have played a number of times.
He talks too much. Scott Kirby, Peter Mayer, Donnie Brewer.
Well, actually, and I would actually say that our Cinco de Mayo Miracle was the one that said, hey, we can do this.
So you've got 3 guys.
That anytime they want to play here, they can play here.
Yes.
If we can possibly work them into our schedule every year, we'd be very happy to do that.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I can certainly testify you guys have made a serious impact on the Florida music scene, not just the trop rock scene. We're always really thrilled that you're part of our listening room festival every year, and I really appreciate spending a little time with you guys tonight, and we can share with the world what you guys are up to.
I still have Joy's flask.
Well, we're
got to get that to her.
Looking at pushing to March, so it'll be a full year delay.
So that's good to know.
We love being part of the Listening Room Festival. That's where we get at least leads for a lot of our non-trop rock people.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And it's been a pleasure working with you as well.
Well, thanks. I'll be in touch really soon about the festival. And again, thanks for making a little time tonight. Thanks for all you do for music, Ken, Heather, the Habitat House Concerts.
Thank you, Fran. Be well.
You too. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Fran Snyder Podcast. Please subscribe, like, or share to help your friends discover our community. Also, I'd love to hear from you with any feedback or suggestions that you have. You can email me at fran@listeningroomnetwork.com. Fran Snyder Podcast, brought to you by Listening Room Network and TrueFire.com. Learn, practice, play.